2000 was an interesting year for the WWF because so much of what they had constructed in the company at that point in time had been built around Stone Cold Steve Austin and also his feud with Mr. McMahon. Well, after Survivor Series 1999, Austin was nowhere to be found. He was out of action for pretty much a year. So the WWF had to take that moment, take that opportunity to create some new stars. And I will say this, is that the WWE really, in my opinion, didn't miss a beat all that much with Austin being out of action. It's a credit to their ability to identify new top stars and make them top stars. It's their ability, to adjust that really made the company still go in 2000. As far as SummerSlam 2000, though, it's kind of a mixed bag for me because there's some stuff on here that I thought was very, very good, and then there was some stuff on here that I thought was very forgettable, and some stuff that was on here that frankly pissed me off. Now, in terms of one of the cool things, they had the intergender tag match for the Intercontinental Championship, Chyna and Eddie Guerrero versus Val Venus and Trish Stratus. I mean, this was pretty cool. It was an interesting concept. I love the dynamics of Chyna and Eddie Guerrero together. Yes, it wasn't the radical, so to speak, but Eddie Guerrero seemed to find himself here at least a little bit. And anytime you get to see Trish Stratus in the ring, obviously that's a good thing. It was kind of cool. They had Chyna get the pinfall here, so she becomes the Intercontinental Champion. And like I said, it worked. It was kind of cool going back and watching it. I talk about other things that were cool. Some might say that the match of the night, or at least the match that had the moment of the night, I should say, let me clarify, was Steve Blackman versus Shane McMahon for the Hardcore Championship. Of course, this is always the match that's memorable for Shane McMahon going way up on the scaffolding and Blackman hitting him 3 times with the kendo stick, and Shane McMahon goes freaking flying down, and then Blackman drops the elbow and gets the win. This match was a lot of fun. That was hardcore. That was something that you would expect out of a Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon was a very, very good, worker in a different sense. He wasn't one of those guys that could sit there and go hook and shoot to somebody for an hour. Oh, fuck, how many asses is that putting the seats on a consistent basis? What Shane McMahon could do, though, was work the crowd, work with his opponent, work off of his opponent, and usually seem to deliver some really damn good matches. And this one right here was another really damn good match with an incredible, epic, all-time memorable SummerSlam moment. When you think of memorable SummerSlam moments, right at or near the top of the list is Shane McMahon falling off the back of that scaffolding and then Steve Blackman dropping the elbow on him. Some really, really cool shit. More cool shit on this card. It was a card, primarily the middle of the card with one notable exception was really, really damn good. Chris Benoit and Jericho in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Sad thing is that match really no longer exists in the history of the WWE unless you find it on the WWE network. But in all intents and purposes, it doesn't exist. But I always love these type of matches. A mid-card feud between 2 guys, no belts at stake, no stupid stipulations. 2 out of 3 falls as a stipulation, but that's a sensible stipulation here. It just really works. It adds so much to these bigger shows when you get 2 quality performers in a mid-card feud where it's just about hatred and rivalry and who's the better man. It always works out better at a big show when you've got a match like this. And Jericho Benoit definitely helped out this SummerSlam 2000 show. Of course, SummerSlam 2000 is also memorable for another really cool match, and that's the first installment of the TLC for the Tag Team Championship. You got Edge and Christian, you've got the Hardys, you've got the Dudley Boys. These guys were really going out there and tearing their bodies up, probably pushing the envelope too much. But they were really going out there at this time, and they were stealing the show, and they were having the matches that the people were talking about. They were the ones that the people were going home the happiest the most for having seen. These guys were incredible. What I never understood is why Edge and Christian always seemed a way to win these matches. I just never understood it. But, a really awesome match and one of those truly great SummerSlam matches. And definitely an asset to this card. Like I said, Shane McMahon might have had the moment of the night, but I guess you would definitely say that the match of the night was the Triple Threat TLC match for the Tag Team Championship. Some other stuff, though, on this card really disappointed me. I look at Jerry Lawler beating Taz. Why? What fucking purpose did that ever serve? Why would you sit there and bring Taz in? You debut him at the Royal Rumble 2000, and you have him beat Kurt Angle, who, if I remember correctly at the time, was undefeated. A Kurt Angle that was main eventing this show in a championship match, the WWF Championship match. But here's Taz now, SummerSlam 2000, in the same calendar year, and he's fucking jobbing out to Jerry Lawler. So stupid. So ridiculous. On so many different levels. I realized Taz wasn't the greatest in the world, and I realized that Taz didn't do a whole lot in the WWF, but by God, they didn't do a lot to help Taz. And, the only thing that pisses me off more than seeing this type of crap is when Taz was the ECW champion. They just had to make sure that Triple H went over him in that match on SmackDown when he was the WWF champion. You guys remember, you guys know what I'm talking about. This type of shit here really pisses me off. One match that disappointed me a lot on this card was Undertaker and Kane. And the only reason I say that, because it was a really good match, it was just the way that it finished. It ended up being a no contest. It leaves you kind of unfulfilled and a little bit disappointed. It wasn't like these guys started fighting at the beginning and there never was a match to begin with, even though they did start fighting before the match even technically began when Kane attacked Taker. It's just the fact of you actually went through having the match and then you ended up ending it in a no contest. Taker and Kane usually have had some very good matches over the years. They have a good chemistry with the two of them, similar styles, similar sizes. So a lot of things work when Taker and Kane feud, when Taker and Kane wrestle. And this match here, like I said, it just leaves me unfulfilled and unsatisfied. But not nearly as much as the main event of this show. I'm sorry, but The Rock versus Angle versus Triple H for the WWF Championship sucked to high fucking hell. It really, truly did. This is that whole McMahon-Helmsley era, and oh Christ, and from the very beginning, even before your fucking champion The Rock comes out, you've got Angle and freaking Triple H going at it, and then of course Angle fucking gets hurt because the table fucking breaks. It was just a disaster. It was like Stephanie McMahon was more important than the champion or the two challengers. That The Rock walking in the champion wasn't nearly as important as Triple H and Kurt Angle. And I understand they really wanted to drive home and advance the Triple H Kurt Angle story here, but you shouldn't be doing that at the expense of the WWF champion, The Rock, who was your top guy at the fucking time, or your most important title, the WWF Championship. I'm sorry, I hate this fucking match. I hate whenever I go back and watch this show, sitting down and actually watching this match, because it pisses me off. There's so many things were fucking off about it, and I thought it was one big steaming pile of shit, in my opinion. And that's usually why every time I go back and watch it, I have to sit there and really fight the urge to fast forward through it or skip parts of it, and usually I end up caving and skipping a couple of parts of it. Because it was dumb. It was stupid. Hated this match. Yeah, I hate it as much as the main event of SummerSlam 99. No, I just hated the finish of 99. I hated so many more components of the SummerSlam 2000 main event. So as far as this show goes, like I said, it is kind of a mixed bag. Some stuff that I didn't talk about because it doesn't really matter. Some really, really good things on this show. And then some bad or disappointing things. Some things that maybe pissed me off. All in all, it wasn't as good of a show as 97 or 98, but it sure as hell to me was a whole hell of a lot better than SummerSlam 99 was. That's in my opinion anyways. Oh boy, what's next? SummerSlam 2001. Let's talk about the invasion angle.